everybody. We are back with another Tea Time with Liz and Friends. Unfortunately, tonight my co host is under the weather, so pray for Miss Joe. She will not be joining me. So tonight we're going old school. We're going Tea Time with Liz. Okay, so go ahead, let someone know we are live, we are in action, we are back for another great episode on breaking the silence. We are still in the theme, but I hope you all have had an amazing Monday, a great weekend. Y'all, we are in our fall season. I'm loving it. It's hoodie season. That's what I call it, hoodie season. And I love hoodies. Okay. Got a whole closet full. But I hope you all are enjoying the weather as much as I am here in our northern state of Minnesota. But definitely just want to say hello, see how you all are doing, what's been going on with you. Shout out. Where you tuning in from. If you're a first time viewer, we welcome you to Tea Time with Liz and Friends. I am the founder and the host of Tea Time with Liz. My friend, like I said, she is ill tonight, but she will be back, Lord's will, with us next time when we have our next episode next on the third Monday. So we come on every first and third Monday live, and you can catch the replay after the episode, or you can also listen to it on all of the podcast platforms. We got Apple, we got Spotify, we got whatever's on Amazon. We everywhere. You can catch us. All right, catch the tea. But I'm so grateful. We are almost to the end of the season. I think I counted, we got like four more episodes left, and it has been a dynamic season. We've had some great guests on different topics of breaking the silence, and we are not going to stop where we have been this far. We're going to keep going. We have some great things that we still got to talk about in breaking the silence. And tonight, I'm still going to talk about single parents, co-parenting, all the things about just, living the life of a parent. It's not easy, but we're going to talk about it tonight. So that is what we'll be focusing on tonight. Next session, we will be talking about love. Actually, we're going to not in the sense of like intimate and relationships, but just the definition and how we carry ourselves in love around this world. We can see that this world is not getting any better. There's a lot of things going on in our climate, in the United States and just around the world, period. But just because our atmospheres are like that doesn't mean we got to act like that, right? So we're going to talk about it. We're going to break the silence and we're going to talk about love. All right. So join me in Joe next time, which, like I said, is the first and third Monday of the month. And we are going to get into that topic. If you haven't already, go ahead and follow us on our YouTube channel where you can catch up on all the tea. Subscribe. We need more subscribers, y'all. Come on, get us up there. We almost breaking 100, and I think we could do better than that. So tell a friend, let them know they can catch up on all the 5 seasons that we have been out here, and we appreciate y'all's support and just viewing, listening, while you working, just pop us on, listen in. All right. So definitely subscribe and like us, follow us. We are on Instagram, we are on Facebook as well. All right. And if you have any topics, anything that you want to talk about, let us know. DM us. If there's something that you want us to bring back, like I said, DM us and we'll definitely connect with you. We'll definitely make sure we get that out here and we'll talk about it. All right. All right. Well, let's get into it tonight. That's all I got for our tea time announcements. But tonight, like I said, we're going to talk about breaking the silence in single parenthood. And I want to throw in there slash co-parenting. It's not always easy. A lot of people can turn their nose at it, can make their judgments. But um, it is the life that we have been given, and I would not trade this season of my life with my son for anything in the world. And so, how my journey started is I was very young getting married. I was 20 years old, and we ended up having our first child together. So, I was married and had a child, got divorced, and that is how my single parenthood started. My son was just one, so he technically didn't really know us. Together in the same household, he always kind of knew us separately um, as co parents. And so those first several years of single parenting was a reality check. It was definitely not easy. It wasn't um, something that I would wish on my worst enemy by any means. And but I found at that time that's how I looked at it. But it has truly been a blessing. Like I stated before, once you kind of get into your groove, once you figure it out, and no one can tell you just point blank, even before I had my son, we always ask for the parenting advice and all the things, but no one can tell you how to be a parent. And to be honest, most of the time you're mimicking how you were raised, or you do the opposite of what you didn't like being raised in, right? And so you just try to give your child the best. You try to make the right decisions. It's a little easier when you do have a companion, but it's not um, always given to us like that, right? And some of us have to wear that single parent hat, and knowing that every household decision is laid on you, everything that has to be done in the house lays on you. You are the cook, you're the cleaner, you're the bill payer, you're the nurturer, you're all the things, right? And that could be very heavy. And especially when you don't have an outlet, when you don't have a community, a village to run to, it can be very uh, mentally challenging. I'm just going to say it like that. But I was very grateful in my first few years. I had a great village. I mean, throughout the years, I've had always had a great village, but I had a really strong village in his younger years. I was going to school at the time, trying to get my degree, working full time, and I have this, toddler, and anybody knows in that age range, they are very active. You're teething, you're learning words, you're crawling, you're walking, all these things. And here I am trying to start my life over, trying to do it right, study and make a living for us, right? And so I give a shout out to my little sister at the time. She came and she lived with me. She decided to come to Minnesota, and she kind of was like my help. That's who I lean to the most, and I truly appreciate her because she was single. She could do whatever she wanted to, but she chose to still help her big sister and her nephew in her young years. And I was truly grateful for that. And I know that's why him and her are the best of friends. And so, but I appreciate her help. So, um, so we got through his toddler stage, and I realized I needed just a little bit more help than where I was here in Minnesota. So I moved back home. I had my parents, I had my brother, I had my sisters, and some other friends. And so I could really know that I could depend on them. I knew he would be in great hands. I didn't have to question anything. But then my story changed a little bit once he got into kindergarten. and we found out my son was diagnosed with autism. And those were very challenging years as a single parent. And I would say, a lot of us, sometimes as we are journeying in the single parenthood, we tend to have this guilt as a parent. When we need outlets, when we need breaks, when we need just a little fun in our lives. Like I said, I was very young when I had my son. And so, sometimes taking a night just to go to the movies or go to dinner with somebody, it was it made me feel very guilty sometimes. And then when he was diagnosed with autism, I became a helicopter mom all over again. There's these helicopter parents. Do I have any helicopter parents out there tonight? That you're very protective of what your child's doing, how they're doing it, all the things. And but I understood that. My biggest supporter, my biggest leaning power was God. I had to really depend on God to help me make the right decisions for him, make sure he was in safekeeping because of this disability. And growing up in a predominantly white area, which we were living in South Dakota at the time, and being an African American male, young male at that, they try to label you, try to push you into things. And, I was very thorough about how their diagnosis with this situation. They tried to do a lot of other things, but I thank God for wisdom. I thank God for guiding me. And it was a very lonely journey because at the time, his father wasn't really. A fan of the diagnosis, I'll say, and rightfully so, because that is a father, right? And I don't blame him and I don't point fingers about it. At the time, it was frustrating because, like I said, it was very hard to put your mind around. But nevertheless, that is, a father's love. That is a father's heart. Like, they're not going to take whatever society says about their child. They see them how they see them because that's their flesh and blood, right? And I appreciate that eye view, but sometimes we got to come to reality, right? And so nevertheless, throughout the years, we went to therapy 3 times a week. We um, what else did we do? We had some other special doctor's appointments and different things just to get through. And we did this from the age of 6 all the way to about middle school. And so 7 years. And um, it was very taxing because not only was it hard to keep a job, I had to quit school. As single parents, sometimes um, it's a sacrifice that you have to give. You may want to, do all these things, and it's not to say that you can't. I do want to say this. I had a supervisor boss who I still appreciate to this day for her love and wisdom and guidance in my early years of single parenting. And she always said, nothing's impossible. Is that do not allow the single parent label to make you. Do not allow your help that you may need or receive to cripple you, right? And I think that's one other thing I want to talk about too is that sometimes as single parents it does get hard. The math ain't mathing and the bills ain't paying itself, right? And so and sometimes maybe you don't have the capacity to get the second job like you want to. And so you have to go to your welfare offices. You have to go to your county assistants. And, um, for me, that was very humbling. I was, I don't know if y'all know me, your girl a little prideful at times when it comes to asking help. Okay. And I think single parenthood had to break a lot of that out of me, to be able to ask for help, to be able to, um, lean and depend on others, that I had to realize I couldn't do it all by myself. And I definitely um, want to encourage you as a single parent, wherever you are in your journey in this, that you understand that you're not by yourself. There are people who are willing to help you, and that even if you do need assistance, do not allow it to make you feel bad, to make you feel like you're less than. You're just trying to make it like everybody else, and it does make a better lifestyle for your child. It may not be the best, it may not be, the golden spoon, right? But nevertheless, they'll never go without. And that's the mindset I had to have, is that I just never wanted to let my son see that we would never be without. I'm very grateful that we always had a roof over our head. We never saw evictions. We never saw no food on the table. There were times it was close. There were times where it was hard. Not to say that it wasn't, a bed full of roses, um, but we made it, and I'm so grateful not only to the village and the people that I was able to lean on to, for the resources and the programs out there, the nonprofit organizations. There was a time when we didn't. I really didn't have a car. I depended on other people to give me rides. And there was a married couple who was very gracious and very kind to give their second car to us, to let us get from point A to point B. And I will never forget that. I'm forever indebted to them for that. And because of that, um, time period, I was able to save up something, and a program was giving out cars, and you could get them for small payments a month. No background checks, no credit checks, all the things. But they were very decent cars. They had their own mechanics. Just all the things. And I believe it was. I'll never forget. It was a Ford Taurus. It was a 2001 actually, and I was very grateful for that car. And that car went everywhere. I mean, I don't know how many trips, but I was very, very grateful. I ran that thing until I couldn't run it no more. But like I said, I was very grateful for every door that the Lord gave, and I know what it feels like to have to depend on public transportation, how it feels to have to ask somebody for a ride to the grocery store, or, whatever. They didn't, and I feel old, but they didn't have Instacart back then. They didn't have, DoorDash and all the things back then. And so it made it very challenging at times. And so, those are some of the things, that people don't think about, that these single parents, singlehood parenting does. We have to make things work, and in what we can and cannot do. And so I just encourage you, if you really want to be a blessing to somebody, not to make them feel bad, but just to be very observant and see how you could be a blessing to them. Take something off of their back, to help them through just survival. Listen, the cost of living is hard for all of us, even if you got somebody, okay? But it can be very challenging, like I said, but it's possible. Like, it is very possible. So this is not woe it's me type of situation, but it is a journey and you do have to encourage yourself through it. You do have to keep your head up high. And so I would say the greatest rewards are being able to see yourself come up, to see yourself as you continue to persevere and you continue to show up and you continue to be there, how God will bless you and how God will open doors. I always hear Pastor Hannah say, pray and ask God to put your name in the wind. Your name ends up in somebody's, heart, mind, and you're up for the next promotion or you're up for a next raise. And you get a bonus out of nowhere, whatever the case may be. But God has always been my provider. I tell you that. And there's nobody else I will ever lean on but God Himself. Now, mind you, He could use other people, but nevertheless, He always has been that Jehovah Jireh for me. Okay. So not only has that been just a great reward to see the accomplishments through your perseverance, but to see your child and to see how well mannered, to see the accomplishments they are able to have in life, just to see how far. And I ain't gonna cry tonight, okay? Let me take a moment. But to see how far your child can come through some of their own challenges and how you've supported them, how you've been there, how the village can support them and be there for them, and to see that reward. My son is now 16 years old. To see this journey, to see and be a testimony unto others, has been, I think, the greatest reward. To know that God does things in His own time and in His own will. We may not know it in the time, but I'm telling you, if you continue to keep pushing, keep striving, keep going, you will see the fruits of your labor. And I could say, even with that, I was able to finally take a moment to uh come to my realization. So here I want to talk about a little bit is co-parenting, right? So you have your journey. Some of us have that co-parent, some of us don't. It all depends, right? If it has been challenging for you, I would just really pray, really ask God, how can I make this work? um, it was very challenging for me because I had a different point of view of what I thought a father should be to my son. And that's what I wanted to see, and that's what I wanted to happen. And you hear me say a lot of I, right? And that's what the Lord had to check me on. And He said, it's not about you. It's not about what you want. It's not about how you think. It's not about, your fantasy of your son's father's life, right? But it's about accepting what is in front of you. And even if it's just a little bit, be accepting to that. Even if it's halfway, be accepting to that. And also, as I had shared earlier, your girl had a little pride in, asking sometimes for help. But I remember having a conversation with my son's fathers, and he's like, listen, I'm willing to help you, but you got to tell me. He's like, I ain't there. I don't see, you're in a whole nother state with him, and I'm over here. And then just because we're in two different locations doesn't mean I don't want to help, but you got to tell me, and that was very humbling for me. And so, like I said, sometimes we got to take a look at ourselves and make sure that we're not being the one who's stepping in the way of our child having both parents. Yes, it may not be in the same household, but they can still have a relationship with both of us, and we both can share the love of our child. And so I really want to encourage, even if that person hurt you, even if they did you dirty and did you wrong, that has nothing to do with that child. um, it is very important that your child knows their parent. It is very important that they can have that relationship. Now, I'm not asking you to put your child in harm's way. I mean, we're all wise enough. We all should be adulted. Adulted, I don't think that's a word. We all are old enough to know, right from wrong and what is good and what is bad, right? But once again, if it's some personal issues that you are, having, if it's even communication issues, um, find a way within yourself to still be able to find a bridge to be able to share that love of your child with their father or their mother. It can be hard at first, but I'm grateful. Yeah, we went through some things. I had to, like I said, I had to humble myself. I had to really let go of my control, in a sense, and I even had gotten to a period of time. My son had gotten into his, preteen stages, and anybody that got a son out here, a boy, that they start smelling a certain way at a certain age, and they need more than just soap and water, deodorant, cologne, all the things, and your girl a whole girly girl out here, so I don't know nothing about nothing, so I remember being at the store like, what deodorant do I buy them? What do we gotta get? And it took that moment right there to help me to realize that, I don't have what it takes to give my son what he needs in this season of his life. Not to say I can't be his mother, not to say I can't love him and nurture him. But in this moment, in this season, he needs his father the most. His father could teach him how to shave. His father could teach him how to groom himself and keep his hygiene on lock, and all the things, right? And so I really prayed about it. And I believe it was definitely had to be God that told me, this is the time and this is the season to switch your son over and to letting him live with his father. And I am going to hold y'all. That was the hardest year of my life. Because we went through a lot of transitions. We relocated back to Minnesota. He lived with his father, and then I had lost some family members, and it was just a whirlwind of things. And um, but I had nobody to take care of anymore. I had nobody to really, nurture every day. I would still see my son. I would still call him, and he would still hang out with me on the weekends. But I kind of got the taste of what it felt like to be that distant parent, and all right, sorry, y'all. um, my computer died, and I did not have my cord hooked up. But okay, we back. We are back. Sorry about that. Um, but nevertheless, I got a taste of my, I shouldn't say my own medicine, but I got a taste of what it felt like to be the other parent. And so I got to see the both sides. Do I regret it still? I don't regret it because I have seen a greater younger man out of my son since he's lived with his father. His communication, his love towards me, his respect, um, just even his social skills have improved so much. And I'm very grateful that I listened to the Lord and it just showed me how to be a different mother, how to shift my love for him and staying close to him and loving on him. And so um, that is one thing I too want to encourage any single parent out here is that, you know, when seasons change in your child's life, you know, whether they grow up, whether they are, you know, at an age where they don't need you as much, don't feel as though you are less than, that you're not important anymore, or none of the things, but that you are still effective. Um, to the distant parent, you know, if you're in this co-parenting thing and your child may live out of state or, you know, you don't get to see them every day like that. I just want to encourage you that once again, you are not less than a parent. You are not, you know, just don't beat yourself up. You don't have to show any guilt to yourself in that area because your child knows who you are. Your child knows who they can call. They know who's going to show up, you know, and that is the most important thing is that they know who you are. It may not be every day like you want it to, or you just, like I said, you have come to the circumstances and dealing with, you know, the distance, but um, that does not stop you from being that child's parent and doesn't mean that they love you any less. I definitely we always mess with our son all the time about who he loves the most, but it's all fun and games. He knows, we both know he loves us both equally. So very very grateful for the co-parenting. Yes, it takes work. It takes a lot of humbling, but make sure you just put your child first. That's the biggest and important thing I would say the most tonight. All right. So I would say some of the biggest three challenges that I've had as a single parent. Like I said, I think moving through his season in his journey of autism was very challenging. Um, and shout out to all the single parents who are dealing with a child with a disability as well. It's very, like I said, it can be very taxing. It can be very hard, whether it's mentally, physically, or all the above. But just know that you are appreciative, you are loved. We appreciate all that you are doing for your child. You know, some people don't get the opportunity to even have children, and here we are with one, with two, with three, you know, whatever the number is. And I would say this too, not only to the parent who has a child with disability, but to those who have multiple, that every child is a blessing. That is one thing I could say, and I appreciate about my pastor is that he will bless children. And he always says that children are a blessing regardless of how they come into this world, whether it's with two parents, whether it's with two non married parents, you know, whatever the case may be. Excuse me, but it does not stop them from being a blessing. And that is something you have to, um, you know, come to realization with. I would say that would be another reward, a great reward to know that God trusted you. God blessed you with such a blessing called life to raise, to guide, to have fun with, to cry with, to get mad with. And, I always tell my friends, it's different when you have your own child, you may be able to tell somebody else's kids, off and that they bad and this, that, and the other. But when you see yourself in somebody else, oh man, it melts your heart. And it's hard. Now I'm a softie, but it's hard to tell yourself no. It's hard to look in those eyes and say, I don't think so, type of thing. But there are times where my son will try me, and I ain't got no problems. Get right with him. But I love him nevertheless. So, I would say that is one great rewards on a side note. But so, like I said, just going through the challenge of disability, I think another challenge is just survival. Making sure that your child always has a great um, home, roof, school, all these things. I remember working myself to the bone. I worked two jobs. And just to make sure, first of all, I would stay off of assistance because your girl did not want to be up in those uh, county offices at all. And so I made sure that we always had what we needed. And I was very grateful to be able to take my son to California on his 10th birthday. He wanted to go. How this boy found it, I don't even know, but I'm glad he did because we got to go to California. But he found Legoland in, I think it's Carlsbad, California, and right out of San Diego. Um, and we went and we had the bestest time of our lives. And that is a memory I can share with my son. That is something he desired, he enjoyed, he loved, and I will never forget it. And I'm sure he won't either. So it's those rewards that when you work hard and you see the smile on your child's face, you see the fruit of your labor come from their appreciation of just enjoying life and being able to be a child, to live their childhood. What else can you say? What else can you say? So but it was taxing. Like I said, working two jobs, that was hard. That was hard to be away from him and all the things. But it was on the opposite end, it was worth it. So I don't know if I have three, but those would be my biggest two for sure. Um, is that but what I would tell myself, if I could tell myself, in my early years of, you know, parenting, single parenting, co-parenting, is to take the limits off. Don't try to show up as something you've seen, but be who you know you can be in within yourself. And if you don't know yourself, take the time to know yourself so you can be the best mom, be the best uh, father to your child. I think, when we don't deal with ourselves, when we don't deal with our hurts, our pains, our traumas, it can reflect in our parenthood, whether you are a single parent or not. That's just point blank. So, it's really knowing who you are, knowing what you're capable of handling, and not being afraid to ask for help. Um, I mean, I can't stress that enough. I can't stress, making sure you have a strong village, a strong community of people around you that you can trust, that you can lean on when times were rough or tough, that they are there to help you and support you with your child, with your children, and all of that. Um, let's see. I think And I talked about the guilt a little bit, dealing with the loneliness and the guilt. And I just want to more or less say tonight and encouraging that you aren't alone, and you don't have to feel guilty for putting yourself first. Because if you don't take care of you, who will, right? And I remember going to therapy for that. It was during the times my son was going through his therapies and all the things. Like I said, it was just very taxing on my mind as a single parent. Hearing doctors' reports, trying to, go home, do these things. And then also try to help in ministry, and it's a lot. It's a lot. And so, but it wasn't impossible. And but I had to learn to put myself first. I had to learn to pray. I had to learn to make sure I'm getting enough sleep, enough rest, um, eating right, taking a walk, doing whatever. And that's what your village is there for. When you say, "Hey, listen, I ain't slept. I need a moment. Do you mind? Can I get a nap today?" You know, um, that's like I said, that is why we lean to one another. So um, I just want to encourage you as a parent, period, not to have that guilt, or to make yourself. I shouldn't say make yourself, but if you think that you are lonely, that you're not. There are plenty of us out here, um, and it's still possible to have a great life. It's still possible to find love. It's still possible to hit your career goals and dreams. And through that, I think your children, they appreciate that even the more. So, um, in my closing, if I could break the silence about anything else in single parenthood, is that I would say these are the people who are the strongest, um, in my eyes. I think it's beautiful, and I think it's God ordained, of course, to have a two-parent home, to have a husband and a wife. And I definitely desire that. I definitely want my son to see that and be around that, um, because that's the way I grew up. It's a beautiful thing. But if God chooses to give you a different journey, even through your mistakes, that it's not um, make you worthless. It does not make you less than. It does not make you, um, scraps, or, the lows of the lows, right? But that anything is possible. And this is not a label that you have to receive, but it is something that you can turn around and say, it's honorable. It's amazing, and it's still possible to do whatever you want, whatever you desire, whatever you dream for, to go for it, and see it happen. And so I just want to, that, and I think that's why I got tears in my eyes, is that I really admire single parents out here, whether you have one, two, three, or 10, you know, um, that you are holding it down, you are showing up every day, you are loving on your children, you are trying to make things work. And I just want to give you your kudos tonight, and let you know here on Tea Time with Liz, that you are doing it, and keep on doing it, and you will see the fruits of your labor sooner than later if you have not yet. And if you haven't, find you a community of single parents, co-parents, whoever that you can lean on, talk to. Um, I have learned a lot from other single parents, other single moms, other single dads at that, to get a different perspective, um, on things in life. So that is what I would say about breaking the silence on single parenthood. Um, and like I said, in setting up for next episode, because we're only going to spend one episode on this, on breaking the silence and singlehood, parenthood, excuse me, is that you are loved. I think I forgot the scripture. I was just reading it. Literally, I was just reading it before I got on here tonight, and it was in, yes, First John chapter 4. And like I said, we're going to talk about love next episode. We're going to talk about what it looks like in having love in this world, not intimately, but just the trueness of love, right? And that's the last words I want to say to you as a single parent. You may not always have um, an older adult tell you, um, and it doesn't have to be Mother's Day or Father's Day for us to appreciate you, but I want to appreciate you tonight and let you know that God loves you. God is with you. And it says in First John chapter 4, therefore, there is no fear in love, but perfect love casteth out all fear, because fear involves torment. But he who fears has not been made perfect in love. We love him because he first loved us. And so I just want you to know that God loves you. God is with you. Um, Even if you're fearful, even if you're afraid of this journey, making mistakes, failing, being a disappointment, um, just know that God can take his perfect love and make it right in your sight, in your child's sight, in your community, your village, whatever. Um, but most of all, I want you to know that you are loved by the King. All right. So that is all I got for you all tonight. Thanks for hanging out. Share this tea time with someone that you know, a single mom, single dad, anybody that's, even overcame their child's grown and you just want to encourage them, let them know, there's others out here too. That will be a blessing. Like I said, we will hope to see you all next time. We will be back. I believe it is on the 20th. We will be back here Monday, the 20th, talking about true love. All right. You all have a great night and a great week. Peace.